Hey friends, so what I want to talk about today in regard to doing what you want to do the way you want to do it is how either the result itself or the experience of producing the result can be legitimately an enormous part of its value to you or to others. And the first case I want to reference for this actually goes back to when I first was doing general freelance contract technical work. And I was approached by a company. I didn't know these people, I didn't know what they did, I didn't know their industry yet. And he just asked, "What's my hourly rate?" And I said, "It depends greatly on what you want me to do. Because if what you want me to do is either going to help people who are in difficult situations, or if what you're going to have me do is going to leave me so much more new, novel experience and connections and so on to have been worth my while, in either of those cases, I might be willing to do it, frankly, for less than if what they want me to do is something which is, if it's going to hurt people, well, then no amount of money is going to lead me to do that. Not a mercenary. If what they want me to do is going to leave me at the same spot I started in terms of my skills, my experience, my network, and so on, I may not take it at all. And there's a gradient between those two things, right, as to how much I am being compensated for the fact that this thing itself is not heavily of utility to me in the bigger picture of helping others, or, to be fair, helping myself, if only because helping myself ultimately helps me help others. And so if we picture three different projects, right, if we picture three different projects that could come into existence through the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years, because of a level of polish and other things going on, one of these projects perhaps has a clear financial reward attached to it, or at least a high probability. It's always never a certain thing in business. And I don't know, maybe it's a licensed sports team wants a game reskinned or something. But because it's for a licensed sports team, it has to be super polished, even though it's not a very interesting game. It's not original. They literally are holding up a different game saying, "Clone this, put our graphics on it, and then we're going to test the heck out of it, have a bunch of stuff hooked up in the back end, whatever." And let's say, I mean, that's not going to pay super well, right? It's predictable work. They could find someone else to do it. So it's not like it's going to be never work again money. It's going to be cover that time money. And so 2 years later, you could have that money from that time and that thing that you didn't care to have exist and didn't leave you any better off for it. Now, two other kind of projects we can picture, in contrast to that first. One is one where you just really want this game to exist. It's been a scratch in your brain. You've been dreaming of it for years. You just want it. You want to see how it would look. You want to see how it comes together, right? You want to be able to show it to others. You want to be able to build off that. You want that behind you. You want that thing as you envision it, your way, to be in existence. In fact, if you were sitting on an enormous mountain of money and responsible to no one for its use, you might even be tempted to just pay some other people to execute on this idea you have because you just want this thing to exist so badly. You would actually be willing, perhaps, to earn money to be able to funnel into making that thing become a reality because you want it to be here. Unlike this sports branded clone. Or there's another kind of project category we can look at. This other one, let's say actually, you kind of pretty much have relative certainty from the outset. It's never going to see the light of day. It's essentially an internal R&D project. It is connected to a much bigger effort somehow. You won't be able to speak to this project. You're not going to get screenshots out of this project. You're not going to be able to tell stories of this project. But in the process, you're going to work with some pretty cool, innovative tech. You're going to be making some connections that might be useful to you throughout the rest of your career. It's going to be experiences that are going to be useful for you to build upon to be that much more able, that much faster, that much better positioned to do things like build things that interest you. So that even though you're not getting an actual end result product out of it, you yourself as a person are left more capable and better positioned afterwards than you would have been before, in a way that, again, for the sports clone, reskinned, whatever thing, would not be the case. Now, I'm not trying to suggest here anything along the lines of working for exposure, or obviously those sort of things can be problematic, especially in where those things usually come up, right, is if what you're doing for exposure is this sort of garbage, where it's the way someone else wants it, what someone else wants done, and that for exposure is nonsense. It's not actually helping your connections. It's not actually helping the thing you want to exist come to fruition. These other two projects actually are much more closer to what people pay university level tuition for the opportunity to work on in order to build the things that they want to build the way they want to build them, under guidance, under mentorship, under support, or the kind of things that will leave them more capable, more skilled, more connected, more usefully integrated into the network as a whole professionally for the rest of their careers out of a 2-year stint, doing something that itself may not be that impressive. And so again, it's not just a, oh, would I work for free? It's a, literally people will often pay 5-6 digit figures of going into loan debt or sort of draining family savings or other things for those kinds of opportunities. Because at the end of 2 years, we picture those 3 different outcomes. Would we rather have covered the cost of those 2 years, but have made not a single step forward on that project that really we want to exist, or have not improved our connections, improved our positioning, improved our experience in a way that we can actually build off of? In contrast to 2 years from now, what if we found some other way to subsidize those other efforts? Some other kind of contract work, some other kind of day job, some other, whatever we could best translate our skills to responsibly, with integrity, translate our professional skills, abilities into earning income, staying afloat, not being a burden to others around us, and our families otherwise, in order to instead be able to have brought into existence this thing that I wanted to happen. This game now exists. I'm not even saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's going to sell. I'm saying I wanted this thing to exist, and now it does. 2 years later. Or, again, that 2 years later, maybe a new thing doesn't even exist I can point to, tell the story of, but that I've learned so much from it. I'm now basically upgraded myself. Basically given myself new skills, new knowledge, new connections, new reference, new grounding in the professional world around me. Or even the arts world or something else, right? Doesn't always have to be, the research world doesn't always have to be career related to still be of use to us. And for many people, it is easy to look at the numerical metrics and say, well, this one seems like the obvious choice that the market rewards me to do. Short term, though. Short term. Whereas instead, often if we were doing what we want to do the way we want to do it, we can get so many other benefits from it, either because we've created the thing we wanted to build, which allowed us to move past that mentally onto our next challenges, our next endeavors. That was for many of us actually the goal, rather than to just make our primary income earning be doing that thing somehow for somebody else their way, what they want done. Or that it's better positioned us to do our things our way is still a worthwhile reward for it. And so anyway, I just wanted to speak to that today about doing your thing your way. That there are very direct, real, harder to quantify, but absolutely there or not factors to pay attention to of, like in the case of the contract work I mentioned, is it helping others? Is it hurting others? Is it somewhere in between in the gradient? Or to the 3 that we talked about, is it building the thing you want to build? Or is it extending your skills in a way that you want your skills to be extended? Or is it doing neither? And is that, frankly, somewhat what the compensation is going towards? Because they know that someone's not going to want to do this unless it's well compensated. And again, this is not to disregard money. It's not to say it doesn't matter. It's not to say it's unimportant. All these things are necessary to stay afloat, to exist in the world around us. But that if oftentimes we can find some way, like I say, to subsidize, to sustain the things that actually help move us forward, the things that actually help us create our thing our way, it helps us avoid scenarios where I've known people who for decades have gotten onto essentially a treadmill of building other people's things, other people's ways, rather than doing their thing their way. And in hindsight, feel like maybe they didn't actually have that much say in a lot of projects, so they didn't necessarily get out of that path they got into it for. And so, just wanted to put that out there today for thinking on. But, as always, hope that you're finding ways to do your things your way. I want to thank you for being here, and I will see y'all tomorrow.